All right, everyone, welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. Go use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 over on Prize Picks. Plenty of college basketball you can put some entries on over the next few days and weeks. But we will talk about some college teams in the football sense, as we usually do here, because it is time for Mock Draft 2.0 live here as free agency is kind of winding down and we are back into draft season and pro day season as we have the Patriots kind of main decision makers. We're out in SoCal yesterday to watch Caleb Williams' pro day. They're going to now travel and be joined by Gerard Mayo to Baton Rouge to see Jaden Daniels, then head up north to see Drake May. We have guys in Texas. We have Scott Peters seeing Joe Alt. So it is back to draft season, and it is time for Mock Draft 2.0. But Alex, I guess before we start really quickly, I know, we did one earlier and everyone loves doing these mock drafts right when this, the season ends because they're so fun. But we all say we have to wait till after the first wave of free agency to see how the needs change, right? But I'm thinking as we're sitting here, there hasn't been much that has to change really. Like maybe running back, right? Because the first mock draft we took Marshawn Lloyd, the running back from USC. We traded back in, I think, the last pick of the third round, but now the Patriots have signed Antonio Gibson. So maybe some of those minor secondary needs have changed. But the top needs, obviously, quarterback, receiver, offensive tackle, I think those are still the key target points here, even after the first full week of free agency has gone by now.
Yeah, big picture hasn't changed. Look, we took 2 tackles last time, 2 tackles in the top 120 picks that maybe you don't need to do. We took an edge rusher higher, don't maybe need to do that. But, besides that, yeah, it's the landscape looks very similar. If anything, things have gotten more urgent. There's also been some movement around the league. We probably should do at some point, Brian, the trade down with the Vikings. But I think with the staffers going around to all the pro days, right? Elliot Wolf, Gerard Mayo, Alex Van Pelt, and just the general reporting that the Patriots are expected to take a quarterback at 3. I think we put that one in the back pocket for now, and we try that one another time.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So should that lead us right into it? Our first pick here?
Leads us right into it. And look, usually the PFF simulator, if you want to take Drake May 3rd, you got to reset it about 5 or 6 times. And you can still sometimes get Jaden Daniels at 34, which stops sending me that mock draft. I get it. You beat the simulator. I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice. I'm telling you, if Jaden Daniels is still there at 34, something's gone horribly wrong. I probably don't want him anymore. But no, this time fired up the first time, and Jaden Daniels is going second. So maybe they've updated their algorithm. They haven't updated it enough. Bub Means is still not in the simulator. I figured that out before we came on. Brian saw my reaction. I did not take it well. But I do think this is what the top of the board is going to look like, ultimately. For all the talk about J.J. McCarthy and whatever, I think this is what it's going to look like. And Brian, neither one of us, even after free agency, even after the Patriots, missed on Calvin Ridley. Doesn't seem to be much indication they're going to trade for a guy like a T. Higgins or a Brandon Ayuk. Neither one of us is super geared up about Marvin Harrison. I think we still both believe quarterback at 3.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just who is Washington going to take at this point? I feel like everyone was back and forth during last week because they signed Marcus Mariota as kind of their vet, and then they traded Sam Howell away, which I don't know what your read on the Sam Howell thing was. Everyone, I think, thought that indicated that they might go Jaden Daniels because Sam Howell and Drake May are very close. But I was listening to Drake May talk he was on Schefter's pod before the combine, and he kind of made it sound like it would be kind of awkward and not an ideal situation to be sharing a quarterback room in Washington with his best friend. So I thought maybe that might flip the scale, but I don't know. It seems like a lot of people like to say Dan Quinn would prefer a mobile quarterback more in Jaden Daniels' mold as a defensive coach. So I think that's kind of where the consensus does kind of lie right now with Daniels going to.
Yeah, so that takes us to Drake May, who I'm going to take, and then I'm going to let it sim. Oh, how do I pause it now? There we go. Okay. Say update. These buttons are new, the bigger buttons. I'm actually slows down here. So, okay, Roma Dunze went, Malik Neighbors went. They both went top 10. Harrison went 4th. All right. This won't happen, by the way. Joel to the Chargers. I think they'll trade out of that pick because they don't need a left tackle, and he's purely a left tackle. Yeah. Anyway, So in our last mock, we traded down from 34, which is still a move I definitely believe in. But I also think moving up should be on the table from 34. And Brian, I think you agree with me.
Yeah.
So what I want to try here,
especially if one of those, I mean, what'd you say the top 3 receivers went? So if one
the
of
top
those,
3 receivers went. So now we're
so
waiting
you have
on
the Brian
and Brian
Thomas.
Thomas. Right.
Yep.
So, and a trade that's been talked about a lot is essentially the Kyle Duggar trade, but in reverse, where the Patriots moved back from 21, I think, for a second and a third. And I get that some people are uneasy giving up both the second and third round picks, essentially giving up a top 100 selection in order to, in this draft, we need so much talent. There's another trade in 2022 between the Jaguars and the Bucks that's 26 for 33. I think it's like 103, 102, 103, and 180. And the Patriots have the picks to make that work. Now, still, you're not giving up a top 100. You are giving up 102. Okay, we're splitting hairs, but would you rather give up to get to about the same range in the draft? Would you rather give up 68 or 102 and 180? Especially when now you have the extra 6th-round pick you got from trading Mac Jones.
Yeah. 103 and 180.
Let's see where they fall. I want to see where these guys fall, and then we'll keep it going. So here's the thing. Like, if Brian Thomas goes at 18,
you got to be
maybe
aggressive.
You have to move up a little bit higher, right? Then maybe we have to make the other trade. If he doesn't, because I think Brian Thomas is going to go before A.D. Mitchell. He's a better version of the same player. Or we could trade the second and the third and just get Brian Thomas, because we're almost in range. Let me get in range for that. There goes Byron Murphy. See Miami takes, because Miami's not going to take a wide receiver.
Xavier Worthy. Did you see how Mike McDaniel was drooling over Xavier Worthy yesterday?
Well, apparently they were there for Jatavion Sanders, which is scary.
Yeah.
Him in Miami. But and that I could see, that's probably the only place I see Sanders going in the first round, or maybe they move back. But this is where I think you're in range. I think at 25 is where you can start doing the trade with the 4th-round pick instead of the 3rd-round pick. So I guess, should we just keep going, or do you want to go up and get Brian Thomas?
Let's keep going. Statement? If they're both there,
right,
let's keep going.
All right. Oh, and there goes Brian Thomas. All right. We know the Vikings aren't taking a receiver. And that brings us to the Cowboys, who are very, liable to take anybody. So if I pull up the trade calculator, and Evan actually sent me a new trade calculator that does the chart for you.
Oh, that's convenient.
No, it's great. And it does like all the charts. It's excellent. So the Patriots would be trading up. They would get 24 in 2024. Because again, here I go typing and talking at the same time. And the Dallas Cowboys would be trading down. They would be getting 34. They would be getting, and the other thing you can do is you can kind of skew this a little bit. So let's say we don't want to give up as much draft. You can give up let me ask this. Would you rather give up the current 4th or a future 3rd?
Probably the current 4th.
Okay. So we'll call it 34, 103, and 180. And that gets us to, I don't know why it's saying that I traded with the Titans here. Hang on one second.
Math on air.
Math on air, baby. Felgren Mass. Cardinals said that is the Patriots overpaying, or sorry.
I think it's over or under?
It's actually different on different charts.
Okay. There we go.
So this may be a spot. Hang on. So this may be a spot where we got to move back. Can't do it here unless we want to give up the 3rd.
If I was on, I don't know what chart you're looking on. I was on Rich's chart, and it's like an underpay by about 20 points. So like a late or mid 4th rounder.
Okay. So it becomes, I have that here. If we want to make this trade, we need A.D. Mitchell to get to 27. Do we want to risk it, or do we want to give up something more?
Green Bay and Tampa. Let's risk it.
All right, let's see.
Oh,
good job. And I'll tell you this. I don't know that the simulator is going to do it. If this played out in real life, he's going 28 to the Bills. He's absolutely going 28 to the Bills. So It's now or never. You make the trade. And this is on the trade chart. This is it's almost exact. I mean, it's by like a fraction that it's off. So this is the trade.
34, 103, and 93 for 26.
34, 103, and 180 for 27.
180.
Yeah.
27. Got it.
All right. Now we are giving up 3 picks here. This is going to leave us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 6 selections in the draft. So let's keep that in the back of our minds because we probably want to trade down at some point.
Yep.
And, pick assets back up. Unless we want to do this. No, we'll just trade one. I mean, those picks are back to back. That doesn't matter. But let's just keep in mind we're going to want to trade back in at some point. But there we go. We go to receiver. And I think A.D. Mitchell, this is where the tier drops off to Ladd McConkey, to Roman Wilson. I'd even put Troy Franklin a tier down from that. I still can't buy in on the Troy Franklin hype.
Yeah, me
personally. But, and look, could the Patriots wait at 34 and get Ladd McConkey or get Roman Wilson and be happy with that pick? Yes, but you identify a guy, if you believe this guy's going to be a factor, you haven't had a wide receiver here for so long, I think you have to pull the trigger on something like this. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's a top 80. Mitchell is a top 5. I think he's probably 5 number receiver in this class. Yeah. Really good talent, freakish kind of athlete. And like, I'm not as like, I don't want to pigeonhole them into just, you have to draft an X receiver. Cause I think there's a lot of good slot or kind of Z type of guys in this class. And they should just be in the category of getting good players at any position. Right. But the fact that he is an X receiver and he would, fit with the guys, the complementary pieces you have now, I think that's just the cherry on top. So moving up for him, I think is a no-brainer if they're able to do that and pair him with a guy like Drake May. I think that's a home run kind of first round for them.
Well, and just for the sake of putting this in perspective, I'm going to give you some names, Brian. And you, not as an NFL player, like we've seen these guys play in the league, but as prospects, think back to last year evaluating these guys. You stop me when one of these prospects is, or you tell me where Xavier Worthy would go on this list.
Worthy
Jackson Smith. Mitchell. I mean, you can do Worthy too if you want, but Mitchell. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison. How many of those guys as prospects are you taking over A.D. Mitchell?
Maybe none of them, honestly. Like he might have been.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Because he might have been wide receiver 1 last year.
Right. And I've been saying, like, I think Zay's a great player, but I was worried about his size and, his durability long-term and all of that. I've never bought into Johnson. I never totally bought into Addison. Like, I think going to Minnesota opposite Justin Jefferson was a great setup for him because I saw him as like a high-level number 2, and that's exactly what he's become. And JSN, who I think is a tremendous player, is also slot receiver. And X receivers are always going to be more valuable than slot receivers. The point being, this is a guy that's a top 20 pick last year. But it's just because this draft is so insane at receiver, you can get him here. And you prevent the Bills from getting him, which is a nice little enjoy Keon Coleman, Buffalo. So I'm going to speed this thing back up. And I'm going to take A.D. Mitchell. So we're not going to trade up again from 68, because at that point the draft is done. So let's take A.D. Mitchell, and then we'll let it run. Who did the Bills end up taking? Stop. All right, whatever. It's just going to be weird. We'll find out in a second. The Bills ended up taking Lay Latu. Okay. So Xavier Worthy went 33rd. So we would have realistically. I mean, you can bump them all up.
That was kind of the run. Yeah.
Ladd McConkey, right. We started the run at wide receiver. Keon Coleman to the Chargers is very funny. And Quentin Johnson. Good luck with that. Xavier Legette and Treylon Burks. These guys just drafted receivers they already took in the first round. Michael Penix to the Raiders is cool. Bo Nix to the Saints is hilarious.
That makes sense.
That makes an insane amount of sense. Roman Wilson, the Cowboys is kind of cool. Jatavian Sanders to the Texans is sick.
That's
fun. Awesome. That'd be a lot of fun. Anyway, Tez Walker, the Cardinals. All right, so here we are. Pick 68. Right. As many people in the chat pointed out, we have not picked tackle yet. Patriots need a left tackle. So I meant to say this before. I think when you look at, because again, we're trying to project what they might do, and we put a little bit of our own opinion into it. But, you're getting this reporting now that Chuck's Okorafor, they think he can be a bridge left tackle. If they think that, they may be more inclined to go up and get the receiver and then, find a more project tackle, a guy who's maybe a year away later on in the draft. So that brings us to these guys, Blake Fisher, Patrick Paul. I still think Puny's a guard.
Yeah, me too.
And then you get into a whole other tier with, Christian Jones and Juwan Foster and all that. So,
but this could also be, there's a few names. Like, you like Fisher. I know you like Fisher, right? I know you like
I don't
Paul.
love Fisher because it's going to be a lot of work to get him over to left tackle.
Okay.
I'd be more interested in Fisher if they didn't re-sign Onwenu. Or we didn't get all that reporting that Onwenu was.
Or they had or they had a left tackle and Onwenu was playing guard.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I don't mind him as a player. There's a risk if you're drafting him. Like, here's the thing: if you draft Patrick Paul, for instance, he may never become a starting caliber left tackle, but at the very least, he's going to be a left tackle. Like, he might be a backup left tackle. He might be a replacement level left tackle. There's a chance Blake Fisher never becomes a left tackle, and you just paid a right tackle for 3 years. So where is Blake Fisher playing? Are you moving him inside? Like, what are you doing with him? For a guy in the top 100, I think you need to have a plan. And for the guy to get on the field. Whether or not that plan works out comes down to development and things like that. But you need to have a plan to get the guy on the field. I just wonder what the plan is to get Blake Fisher on the field.
Yep, that makes sense. This could also be, you just traded up, so you only have 4 picks left. This is your most valuable asset, obviously, left. This could be a spot where maybe you trade down and kind of add to your remaining artillery there in the later rounds. That's also an option. Or if you think like you need Patrick Paul right here, you don't want to miss out on him or one of these other tackles, that's kind of the choice they might have to weigh at this pick now after moving up there.
So I'm looking at some other trades here. Last year, the Rams in Texas made a trade 69 and 191 for 73 and 161. That doesn't really help us because we want to add picks. The Rams and Giants made a trade that was a third for a third and a fourth. That interests me.
Yep.
And it's not that far. How far was that drop? That drop was from, hang on here. That drop was from 73 to 89. The Patriots made a trade in that range last year, but that was the Devontae Parker trade. What else do we got? 2022. That's a trade up. That's a trade for a player. So Denver traded 75 for 80 and 162. So we can either move back 5 spots and get like a 5th or a 6th, or we can move back a little further and get another top 150 pick.
What do you think with the tackles?
So
do you want to stay in range for a Patrick Paul or?
Yeah. So the tackle teams here, I'm assuming that the Jets would have already taken a tackle at this point. Oh, and they signed Tyron Smith. So it's tougher here because we don't know who's taking who, and we don't need to go back up and look at everybody. Is there a team that just has an excess of picks? I guess. Let's see. That might be looking to trade up. So not the Bears, right? Because we could take is that really all they have? Jeez.
Yeah, they don't got.
That's hilarious. That's really funny. They're going to trade down from 9. So here's a good example where the Broncos have a bunch of picks kind of in a row. And they also didn't have a 2nd round pick. So something like this, and I think you could even throw in that, 76, 136, and 207. Hang on, 76, 136, 207, and we are trading 68. So that is, hang on. That's an overpay by the Broncos of about a 5th round pick, a late 5th round pick, which is probably about right.
Yeah, for them moving up 8 spots there.
I don't hate Fisher to the point where we couldn't take him if we miss on Patrick Paul.
Yeah, I'd be
So
down to move down 8 and
yeah, I
see what
think we do
happens there.
this, recoup some draft stock. We are going to have back-to-back picks at 136 and 137. But all right. So now we wait and see. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Playing the board. We did some fun. If this happens in real life, I'm going to lose my mind because look who went in between. Blake Corum. Huge fan of Blake Corum. And I don't think the Patriots should take him, but huge fan of Blake Corum. Max Melton. Huge fan of Max Melton. Tavondre Sweat. Massive fan of Tavondre Sweat. Johnny Wilson. Interesting player. So just kind of an interesting run there leading up to this pick.
Yeah. All right, so 68 for 76, 136,
137 and
207.
Yep.
And now
And this
we
gets
are on the clock at number 76.
76. So tell us a little bit about Patrick Paul here as we get ready to make this pick.
So hold on, I'm just typing that in. So
Yeah.
a monster of a man, what, like 6'7",
6'7",
330?
331, 37-inch arms.
And he can move pretty well for that size. His 10-yard split was in, I think, like a top percentile at the combine. So can move well, big guy, big arms, just kind of the ideal body type for what you want out there at the left tackle. Just really good play strength. I guess we'll see work in progress maybe in the run game a little bit, but he's just the ideal type of body type you want out there on the blind side for your quarterback.
All right, so we're going to take him. I don't think we're going to trade up again. So we've made 2 picks. This will be our 3rd, 4th, 5, 6. So this leaves us with 8 picks, which is about right. So I'm going to draft Patrick Paul, and then while the thing sims, why don't we hear from our friends?
That's perfect. We'll hear from Prize Picks.
Football season may be over, but the action on the floor is heating up. Whether it's a tournament season or the fight for a playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. Prize Picks is really simple to play, and I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Use the code CLNS for the first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
All right, so a quick reset of the board here after day 2. We got our quarterback, number 3, Drake May, as the Commanders took Jaden Daniels, number 2. So the Patriots run up the card for Drake May, and then they trade back up into the first round to get him his top wide receiver in A.D. Mitchell from Texas. And then obviously don't have a second-round pick. You use that to go back up. And then you recoup some of those assets and you move down a few spots in the 3rd round and get your tackle in Patrick Paul. So you hit the big 3: quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle in rounds 1, 2, and 3. And, you still have, 5, 6 picks left here on heading into day 3.
And this is where things get interesting, right? Because now we can kind of, where do we go? There's a ton of different options. We could double up at receiver, but I think signing KJ Osborne, bringing the guys back they brought back. I don't know about
back here. How about that?
Yeah, and we're back to back. So we're gonna make, unless we want to trade down again, which I wouldn't rule out entirely. But do we go receiver here? Do we double up there? Is this where we want to get our project tight end? I mean, all the day 3 guys we think are going to be there on the board. This is this is top of the 5th round. I was gonna say we have the first 2 picks of day 3. We could go running back, but like you said, having signed Antonio Gibson, is that something you can wait on? I do think doubling up on tackle here is an interesting idea.
Yep.
Maybe with one of these 2 picks, because we did get Paul. I like Paul a lot, but he's a project player. Corner here is certainly something that could be interesting. He's still got some players. Josh Newton here is still on the board, who's a guy that kind of fits their typical mold of corner. Safety could be, it's really all in play. Safety could be in play. We've still got, no, we don't have Cam Kitchens on the board. He's gone. Is this where we go get our edge rusher? Do we double up on Houston guys? Nelson Caesar. Yeah, what do you think, Brian? I feel like it's really all a possibility here.
This is where it opens up. I
Yeah.
definitely like the idea of a second tackle at some point. And then after that, yeah, I don't just whatever
Well, I think
happens.
we're both the most excited about that.
The second
So
tackle.
yeah.
Okay.
So
So any of these guys jump out to you?
Javon Foster's the one. Did we take him last time?
I think we did, yeah.
We did. Okay, so for our purposes, we'll say he's off the board. I mean, Ladarius Henderson from Michigan. Just that again, that Michigan offensive line was so good. Kind of a tweener, so might be a guard, but a guy that's going to play. It's early for Ethan Driscoll. I like Ethan Driscoll because you can't teach size. He's 6'9". What is it? 6'7", 330.
Just get two monsters. Just
right.
Do the Bengals technique and get the two Browns.
This is where, if he was in the simulator, Tylen Grable from UCF would be a good pick. Any of these guys stand out too. Isaiah Adams, Walter Rouse. That's another like really strong tackle program.
Yeah, Walter Rouse was pretty intriguing watching him at the Shrine Bowl. I haven't watched too much of Henderson, but I mean, it's like the Michigan offensive line, as you kind of said. Those guys just breed good players. So, again, I like Javon Foster a lot, but we're not going to double dip on him if we took him in our last draft. And I don't know if he'd even last to the 5th round. So, I'd lean probably between Rouse or Henderson if you have a strong opinion on one of those guys.
So, I mean, I'm not above pulling up a scouting report as kind of a tiebreaker here. We could throw it to the chat, but just while we're here, because we're here to learn the mock drafts. Ultimately, as I like to remind people, we're just trying to learn about as many players as possible.
Yep.
So Ladarius Henderson, 6'4", 309, 35-inch arms. Zerline writes, offensive tackle with decent athletic traits and above average physical traits, but his game tape simply doesn't show enough consistency. Henderson's size and length will check boxes, but his play against the likes of Iowa, Alabama, and opponents at the Senior Bowl left a lot to be desired. He needs to improve his anchor strength and protection, but he appears to have enough lower body drive to generate movement in the run game. Ultimately, an inordinate amount of mental mistakes and lack of instincts will be hard for any offensive line coaches to overlook. Don't like that.
Yeah, don't like that.
Don't like that.
Okay.
Walter Rouse, 6'6", 313, 35+ inch arms. Okay. NFL comp. Was there a comp for there's no comp for Henderson. NFL comp for Rouse is Cam Fleming, former Patriot.
There you go.
Possesses the size and intelligence coaches like, and he might be able to continue improving if he can get stronger and prove he can play on the right side as well. So left tackle. He's an average athlete with average bend, and that will show up in his lack of consistent anchor and inline drive. However, that should not be oversold as he tends to anchor enough and maintain a level of stickiness as a run blocker, even when it looks a little disheveled. Rouse has played almost exclusively at left tackle, but might be in consideration for a solid swing tackle with some upside. That's kind of who you're looking for here. Just a guy this is going to play.
He did play right a lot in the Shrine Bowl. So that was what kind of stuck out to me with him, if he has that versatility. So that one works for me. The scouting report sounded more intriguing than Henderson for sure there.
Do you want to throw? Let's do one more since we're doing this. Isaiah Adams, because I got to be. This year's so weird. I'm not as deep in the draft as I want to be because we've had to spend so much time on the quarterback.
The quarterbacks, I know.
Yeah. Isaiah Adams. Where is he? Isaiah Adams, got him. 6'4", 315, 34-inch arms. Canadian import. Could we start building a Canadian wall here with him in City? With the junior college background, who settled as a 2-year starter in 2023 and team captain at Illinois. Patriots won't like that. Adams' 2022 guard tape is important as he's likely to end up back at guard after a season at right tackle in 2023. He's thick but athletic with the ability, pulling blocker, blah, blah, blah. So he's a guard. So never mind.
All right.
I was intrigued enough by we can put it up. Do you want to put it up? Give final say to the chat.
The chat between Rouse and
the Rouse, Henderson, and Adams. The three guys you see there, we're not taking Foster. We already took them. So whichever guy gets 5 first, Adams, Rouse, Henderson. Chat has final say. Chat's Elliott Wolf. People talking about the CFL. We'll count that as a vote for Adams. All right, so 1 for Adams, 1 for Rouse. Anybody else want to weigh in? All right, we're not doing Foster.
We're not doing Foster.
We took him last time. For all he would be the pick here, just for the record.
Yeah,
it's another for Rouse. It's 3 for Rouse. That's 4 for Rouse, 5 for Rouse.
Nathan Rourke getting some votes.
Nathan Rourke. All right, next year when his brother's in the draft, we'll go back to the chat. Although hopefully the Patriots don't need to take quarterback next year. All right, Walter Rouse it is, and we are back on the board, Brian. So this is where you have back-to-back picks. Sometimes it's called a bonus pick. This is where I kind of like to dig in on defense. And there's a couple guys that I'm curious here. All right, so Cam Hart's off the board. I keep thinking this is the top of the 4th round. It's top of the 5th, of course, it's off the board. So Josh Newton's an interesting player, kind of like a well-rounded corner. You can see the distribution of his snaps here. Like boundary corner, plays a little safety. He was really good in TCU's run last year. Kind of took a little bit of a step back this year. But
is he like a lengthy corner?
Yeah, he's not like, I mean, he's not built like Gonzalez, but like he's not small. I wouldn't say his length of strength or a weakness is functional. Okay. The kid from Duke, whose name I'm blanking on, Dwayne Carter's not here, which is about right. On the edge, and Nelson Caesar would be an interesting pick here. So would Xavier Thomas. Is no, I think we missed Alex Hunt, or what is it?
Oh,
Alex Hunt. Yeah, the Houston Baptist guy.
Yeah.
Too early for Jalen Ford. Yeah, I don't know about any of these linebackers. So I don't know if you saw any.
Just one. Could you check tight end? Just one offensive position.
Yeah.
Okay,
still got
most
Ben
of those
Sinnott,
guys are still there.
Theo Johnson. Yeah. I mean, we don't have it's 60 picks before we pick again.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, the boundary corner isn't a bad idea if you like Newton.
Yeah, here, I'll give you, I'll pull up his NFL.com page and tell you. And I'll grab his, I don't like Penn State corners. They're always way too physical for my liking. So Newton, 5'11", 190, 31-inch arms. Well-built cornerback with inside-outside versatility. Newton's 22 tape is slightly better than 23. He's capable in press and is made for old-fashioned cover two. This guy's a Patriot, where he can redirect, release, sink in his zone. Newton plays tall in space. He's a Patriot.
Send it in.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that could be the scouting report for any cornerback on the page. That's Jonathan Jones. That's Miles Bryant. That was Jack Jones. Any of them. So Josh Newton fits the bill. Grab Josh Newton there. And then it's a long way to go. So since we just made back-to-back picks, let's update the board real quick here. So we went Drake May at the top, traded up, got AD Mitchell, moved down from 63 to re-add picks, took Patrick Paul, doubled up on tackles with Walter Rouse. Then we added Josh Newton. And I think that's it for the top 150, right? We're down at like 190 something now. Yeah, we're down at the Mac Jones pick. Oh, I love this.
Oh, tip.
They need a blocking tight end. He tested well at the combine. I mean, right?
I think that just fell literally right into our laps.
And this is we reached a little bit on Newton, not a ton, but it definitely made me a little bit uncomfortable. Tip Ryman, this is right in the sweet spot for Tip. This is like exactly where he's going to go.
I was pulling up his RAS score, just 9.93. This one, I don't know what his latest
9.93. Okay.
Yep, 9.93. He had a elite speed grade with a 4.64 40-yard dash at 6'4", 271. He had a 10-yard split in the 9.8 percentile, 155. Great agility grades with the shuttle and his 3-cone time. So this is a big guy who can block, and he moves very well at the tight end spot.
So I'm just curious who else is here. If we wanted to double up at receiver, I know some people like Anthony Gould, good separator. I like Jordan Whittington, good chain mover, but we can probably get those guys later. Right. If he was in the simulator, We already took a corner. I don't think we're going to double up. MJ Devonshire is actually a really interesting player because he's not very good unless the game's on the line, and then he's prime Ty Law. Like, it's weird. He will get beat like
He's
a
your
drum.
2-minute corner.
He will get beat. Go back and watch the 2022 Backyard Brawl, Pitt, West Virginia. Bryce Ford Wheaton takes his lunch that entire game. And then at the end of the game, right place, right time, pick 6 to win the game. And, like, he does stuff like that. So I wouldn't take him, but he's a fun player to watch. Safeties, yeah, I don't, love any of these safeties right here, at least. Maybe we go back to that with one of the later picks. On the edge, there is an edge guy I like here. But we'll revisit that in a little bit. I don't know about a linebacker. I mean, this linebacker class falls off hard. I would be totally okay if they pass a linebacker this year. Brian, I don't know if you like any of these defensive tackles, Keith Randolph, Tim Smith, Gabe Hall. I think it's Tim Ryman. I do think it's Tim Ryman. I think he's the pick here. Absolutely.
I'm with you.
All right. So what else do we want to address? As we have 2 picks left. I believe these are both 7th round picks. No, this is 6th. Somehow we ended up. Do we trade with the Niners? This must be one of the ones we got from the Rams. We got from the Rams.
So what do we have? 207 and 231.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have an idea for 231. It's just an edge guy. No, it's really nothing that fancy. It's just a player I like that is probably going to be UDFA. So in terms of running back, Frank Gore Jr. is still here. Chase McClellan, Isaiah Davis. I like Rasheen Ali. I don't like drafting him. I'll sign him as a UDFA.
UDFA.
Yeah. All right. We took our tight end. We could triple up a tackle if we wanted. We could go interior. Bordolini's still here, but I don't think that's right.
Oh, another tackle. Speaking of guys who aren't in the simulator, Travis Glover. Remember him from the Senior Bowl? He showed up late to the Senior Bowl. He
also
would be a good late day 3 tackle who's not in the simulator either.
Frank Crum would be another good pick here, another tackle that's not in the simulator. I don't know if you like any of these safeties. Tyler Owens.
We're getting a lot of people requesting kickers.
I was literally about to pull it up. So I don't think Reichard or Cardi are going to be here at this point. I think at this, they always project the kickers to go outside of the top 200, and somebody takes a kicker in the 4th round, and then another team panics and takes another kicker in like the 4th or 5th. So
Sounds
I
familiar.
think Cardi and right. If you want to say Mevis might be on the board here because teams are going to worry about him because he's 5'11", 240. He also doesn't warm up. He goes out and kicks. It might change in the NFL, but in college, he would just go out and kick, and he hit a lot of kicks. Like, he's very good, but he would do that. Torrey Taylor won't. If Torrey Taylor is still here, I'm going to be so pissed if Torrey Taylor does not get drafted in the top 200. I'm going to be like legitimately
the punter
angry.
market's actually weird because everyone filled their holes through free agency. I mean, you know how it's going to end. It's going to end with the Chiefs signing them because they let Townsend go to sign the punt god, and now they're going to get Torrey Taylor, and he's going to win.
Oh, that's absolutely what's going to happen.
That's how it's going to go. But I don't know. I get the people want a second kicker in here, but I just still have a hard time seeing them drafting one. Maybe a UDFA rookie, but I still just see a hard. I think it's my preference would be a veteran to bring in here and have him compete, and then maybe a UDFA. But I still see a hard time having them draft a rookie kicker again.
I don't think they're going to draft another kicker.
Yep.
So do we want to double up at receiver? Where do we want to go with this pick? Do we want to take a safety? I mean, I like Tyler Owens. He's a good player. Very instinctual safety. They did sign Jalen Hawkins today. So you'd probably have like those two competing for a roster spot.
Doesn't believe in space.
Right. Well, so we'd have the guy who doesn't believe in birds and the guy who doesn't believe in outer space on the same team.
Perfect.
You want to do that?
Yeah,
he played a lot of deep safety, a lot of slot corner. Like, he's a coverage guy.
Yeah, we could add that.
Was there anybody else, any other position? I mean, we could go running back too. I would like to see him draft a running back. I just don't necessarily love any of these guys.
Yeah.
Frank Gore Jr., I mean, he's kind of just Kevin Harris again.
Yep.
Kevin Harris's contract's almost up. Some people really like Jaden Sheridan. I'm not super familiar with him.
You want to just check quarterbacks if like there's any.
Yeah.
I know we took Jason Bean last time in our double dip.
Yeah. Jason Bean's ADP's 120. Wow. People like Jason Bean. I get Carter Bradley here. I think it's gonna be like a good solid backup. Well, at that point, I would take Carter Bradley next. So the other guy I like here, late in the draft, that's in the simulator. There's plenty of guys I want to take, Brian, that we just went through that aren't in the simulator. Trajan Jeffcoat, first off, A+ name. But he's kind of just like a sturdy, I want to get his size, 6'4", 280, experienced player, sturdy edge setter, team captain from Arkansas. Does this sound familiar to you, Brian? It's like
Anthony
a big,
Jennings.
strong edge setting guy from Arkansas.
Oh, Trey Flowers.
Day 3 pick. One more guess.
There's another one?
Dietrich Wise.
Oh, Dietrich. Yeah.
I think he kind of plays a little bit like Dietrich Wise. So I don't know that he's going to be.
He can move like inside. He's a little.
Yeah, he's going to be. I mean, he's a little small to play inside, but if you want to kind of change things up, have him rush on the inside a little bit, like on passing downs, he can do that. He's just a big mauler. Like that's what he is. He's just a big mauler. So, down here outside of the top 200, raw size, strength. Why the hell not, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to take him here and then double up at quarterback?
Yeah, we could do that.
All right. Trajan. I actually don't know exactly how it's pronounced. Jeffcoat.
Oh, Jeff.
I'm trying to find where he is on the big board because that is a little bit of a reach. But I also think that the way the UDFA market works now, UDFAs are getting so expensive. Teams will draft guys. Like teams will almost be like, yeah, we have a 7th round grade on this guy, but this guy's ceiling's higher, so we'll take him because we get him for an extra year. We don't have to pay him as much. So we'll go Jeffcoat here, 107. PFF's going to give that an F, but the PFF grades are terrible.
They're stupid.
And then, all right, so what do we want to do here? So
231. Yep. Okay. So we could double dip at quarterback. I mean, double dip anywhere at this point. Like, are you still looking at the interior of the offensive line as a spot they might have to add to?
Interior offensive line, or I would take a defensive tackle here. Like, I'm trying to remember which of these guys are like the big guys. Yeah, no, he's 305. Is it Jaden Crumdy? One of these guys is like a real nose tackle. I can't remember who, but interior of the offensive line. Yeah, I think they drafted 3 guys last year and then they signed Leverett. They should be okay. Could they add a UDFA or 2 to get through camp? But in terms of draft capital, I'd like to think they're good.
Yep.
These linebackers. Ulofoshio is a good player, but I think we're beyond respecting the board for him
at
here.
230.
Yeah. Yeah, we're well beyond respecting the board for him. So the chat have any ideas of who they want to? Somebody says take the special teams guy.
Does Jordan Winnington play special teams?
I mean, he can. Let's see how much special teams he played. I mean, I'm sure he can. Like he's got good enough size. He's definitely not afraid to get physical.
Yeah.
I think that would be interesting too, because he gives you like a chain mover. They got a lot of guys like Pop Douglas is more explosive. We took A.D. Mitchell, who's a downfield guy. They added KJ Osborne, who's a downfield guy. Kendrick Bourne, like Whittington, not to that level, but he can kind of be what you wanted Juju to be, maybe if he maxes out, where like he's not going to be a guy that averages 15, 16, 17 yards a catch. It's never who he's going to be. He's never going to be a big play threat. He's never going to score a lot of touchdowns. I've kind of compared him a little bit to like rookie Jacoby Myers, where we also might be past respecting the board for him. But like he's going to run a 7 to 12 yard route. He's going to find a hole in the coverage. He's going to sit down. He's going to catch the ball. And you can set your watch to it. And that's it. There's not much beyond that. And It's not necessarily sexy, but there's certainly value in having a guy that does that. I don't think we're too far beyond respecting the board. So
yeah, I mean, I know they have so many of these like complimentary wide receivers, but just watching Texas, like you're looking at AD Mitchell, you're looking at Xavier Worthy, you're looking at Jatavian Sanders, and like so many big plays went to Jordan Whittington. He just kind of seems like he's just a good football player, right? And I don't know, that pick kind of intrigues me. And if you think he can obviously provide special teams value, then that's what you're also looking for these 6th and 7th round draft picks. So that pick,
I'll tell you this,
intrigued me.
I said before, just like watching him, he's a guy that you can tell enjoys physicality, enjoys the contact part of football. Zerline has on a scouting report, great teammate, willing to do the dirty work to get the job done. That's a special teams player.
Yeah, and that sounds like what this coaching staff is kind of looking for, like with all these tough guys. They want toughness. So
all right, so Jordan Whittington, it is. This would be a great pick. This would be, I think it's a little low for him, but it's not unrealistic. This would be a great pick.
Jordan Whittington.
Are you searching something, or are you typing it into our thing?
Typing it in our board, our own roster.
So while you do that, I'll pull it up, and why don't you read us back the draft here?
All right. So we started off with our quarterback. We got Drake May. I love Drake May. I saw a lot of people arguing in the comments about Drake May. I think he's got all the upside and all the tools and the talent to be a franchise quarterback at the next level. So thrilled that he fell to 3. We ran up the card again there, and then we got him his weapon later in the first round. We traded up from 34 to 27. I believe that was with the Cardinals. And we gave them a 4th and 6th round pick. Remember, we have 2 6th round picks from the Mac Jones trade. Excuse me. So we used some of that ammo to go get the number 1 receiver in AD Mitchell. Didn't have a 2nd round pick because of that. And then at 68 in the 3rd round, we recouped some of those assets and moved back just 8 spots. Then we took our offensive tackle in Patrick Paul, that should say from Houston. Then didn't have a 4th round pick, but we had back-to-back 5th round picks to start the 5th round, the first 2 picks of that round. And we double dipped at the tackle spot with Walter Rouse from Oklahoma, and then added kind of a versatile corner who mostly plays outside in Josh Newton from TCU there. Then to the 6th round, we got our tight end in Tip Ryman. Big blocker, just tremendous athlete, lit up the combine. So he should be a good addition behind Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper to that room. And then we got Barth's edge defender, Trajan Jeff Coat. Hope we're saying his name right. Trajan from Arkansas.
I still got to figure that out.
Yeah. Sounds like an interesting kind of powerful guy's got some interesting skill sets. So that's what you're looking for. The physical traits in these late round picks, get him in the building, see what he can do. And then we ended it with another wide receiver in Jordan Whittington, who, you just heard us talk about a lot, but seems like really good value at that spot. Just made a lot of big plays for Texas and just seems like a really good football player. So hit the 3 big needs early: quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, moving around the board a little bit to do so, but then double dip at tackle. You pick up a tight end and another wide receiver, and then you get a corner and an edge defender to add to the defensive unit there.
All right. So, Brian, the question is, if this was their draft, how would you feel?
I mean, if they walk away with Drake May, I'm going to feel fantastic. So at that point, I feel great. And then to get AD Mitchell too in that slot I think that would just be a home run. They can do that on day one, and I will walk out very happy. And then to add 2 tackles, you hope at least one of them could kind of hit or get you through this year. Like you're using a 3rd and a 5th round pick on them, and then you hope May and AD Mitchell are just home runs. And then if your 2 tackles don't hit, like tackle 1st round next year, lock that in. And then I like some of these development pieces down here with Tip and Whittington, and you see what these defensive guys can give you.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, I think they're not going to solve everything, and it's going to be really nerve-wracking at left tackle watching this unit. But one, maybe they don't play Drake May as a rookie, at least not right away, and they let these other guys develop, in which case All right, you got AD. You were able to get AD Mitchell as a stud, which would be huge. And yeah, you have to, you have to take some lumps this year, but next year we go all in on the tackle class, right?
Yep.
I'd be pretty happy with this. At the end of the day, they added good players. I would say they definitely weaponized the offense, all of that. So we'll see what Twitter thinks. Brian will tweet this one out, but I don't know. I think we did okay here.
Yeah, I like it. We got some A's in the chat.
All right.
I don't know if that's a good thing that we're getting A's in the chat, but we're getting A's in the chat.
PFF gave us a good grade, which makes me very nervous. I don't like that.
Okay,
PFF gave us an A-. The only picks it didn't like were Walter Rouse and Trajan Jeffcoat. And honestly, if we switched Jeffcoat and Whittington, which is a lot more realistic, I think we just kind of lost. We got a little too caught up in respecting the board. There, which happens. I'm definitely guilty of that. But everything else, it gave a B- or better.
Interesting.
So,
I mean, I think May is an A+ in the PFF board there, and Mitchell
May's an A+. Yeah, Mitchell's an A.
Yeah.
Those guys in Whittington were the only A's. So.
Okay.
A lot of B's.
Yep. All right. So anything else? Anything to wrap it up with, or we can be on our way here? Go watch some college basketball.
Yeah, I think so. We'll be back next week, and we'll have another one of these next Thursday and every week between now and the draft. So
fun stuff. And again, pro days are in full swing. We'll be talking about top 30 visits soon enough. So we are back into full draft season, and we hope you guys enjoyed our mock draft today. But in the meantime, you can follow Alex on Twitter at Real Alex Barth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com to read his written Patriots coverage. You can follow me on Twitter, where I will post this mock draft, so you guys can yell at us over there at I am Brian Hines, and head over to patspulpit.com for my Patriots coverage over there as well. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week.